Tem SPTN Go mọi lúc mọi nơi, hình ảnh HD, âm thanh rõ ràng, chỉ có 9 đồng 99 cho một tháng sau 7 ngày dùng thử. Quý vị có thể tải SPTN Go trên Google Play, Apple Store, Roku hoặc Amazon.
Trường Giang xin kính chào quý vị khán giả của đài TNS. Kính thưa quý vị, năm 2020 là một năm có nhiều biến cố xảy ra, từ khủng hoảng kinh tế đến sức khỏe, chính trị và xã hội. 2020 cũng là năm mang đến nhiều khó khăn cho việc vận động tái tranh cử của nhiều ứng cử viên gốc Việt ở khắp mọi nơi. Cách ly xã hội tạo cho việc tiếp xúc với cử tri lại càng khó khăn hơn. Để biết thêm cuộc vận động năm nay ra sao đối với Thượng nghị sĩ Dean Trần, Thượng nghị sĩ tiểu bang gốc Việt duy nhất tại tiểu bang Massachusetts và trên toàn quốc Hoa Kỳ, chúng tôi đã có cơ hội tiếp chuyện cùng với ông sau buổi họp mặt duy nhất cùng với các cử tri tại Westminster hôm nay. Senators, hello and welcome to our program today.
Hi, Brian. Thank you very much for having me.
Now, first, I have to apologize that I will not be able to be in there on your re-election announcement today, but I did follow you on Facebook Live. So I want to confirm that it was an amazing event. But there was an accident, there was an incident that happened today that must have been frightening to your family. We sent Mary to the room. How is she now, and can you share what happened?
Well, Madeline is 11 years old, and she's my second to the youngest out of 3 daughters. And towards the end of my speech, and almost at the end, and I was only having one more paragraph left to speak about, I felt someone fell over, hit the podium, and then when I turned and looked, Madeline hit the podium, then she bounced off the podium and then fell down onto the pavement where the back of her head hit the pavement. And that was a scary sight. All I could do was just, lean down and run to her. And I saw my wife running to her, and we had volunteers who came in to help. And fortunately, some of our volunteers and also the people who attended the event have background in healthcare, and they were able to help us set her up and make sure that she was okay. So when Maddie fell down and everybody just came moving towards her and tried to help her, the first responders, the EMTs from the fire department, saw that. So they ran over and came and took over. So we were very fortunate to have volunteers, friends, family members, and first responders on site to help her. And
Wow.
they escorted her, took her in an ambulance to the local hospital. And the hospital took vital signs, and they did tests on her, and she is well now. She's at home resting. So we were very blessed that nothing more serious happened to her.
I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad that Mary is, at home resting right now. Now, let's get back to the campaigning. I think this got to be one of the toughest years we have got in recent history, and I have to believe that such a people person like you, it must be very hard for you to run the campaign from a corner of your office at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how is the re-election campaign progressing so far with you? And have you got a chance to do any fundraising for your campaign?
It's been very difficult to do any fundraising events. Matter of fact, for this year, we haven't had any fundraising events because it's been difficult to bring a lot of people into one room. As you know, the governor just now decreased the number of people who can attend in an outside event from 100 to 50. Mm-hmm. And even before that, people were not allowed to gather in a small area. And they changed that regulation to allow 25, but still, even with 25, a lot of people are hesitant they don't feel comfortable in being in a room, especially with this virus. So we've been having a difficult time in fundraising and holding events.
So there's a couple of things that I would like to ask you today. So one is about the mail-in vote, and the second is about the school opening. Did you know that it's the topic of the town right now? You know, people, particularly parent and teacher, worrying about what if the second wave of coronavirus comes in the fall. So what are your thoughts on school openings in the fall?
Well, this is a very difficult decision to make on any level, because you have to weigh the seriousness of the virus versus the mental and physical health and well-being of the student and the teachers. And we've heard from countless of data and statistics, you know, through science, that health experts and professionals, as well as DESE, which is the Department of Secondary and Early Education, have highly encouraged and strongly encouraged that there should be some kind of in-person learning for our students. And that doesn't mean a full-time in-person learning. The student and teacher don't have to be full-time in the school, but there has to be some kind of interaction between the student and the teacher. Without that, we expect and anticipate that there's a lot of mental health issues and physical health issues as well for the students in the future. So I as a person, as a parent, and my personal opinion is that I'm in favor of a hybrid solution.
Is there any legislation that you are working on to provide support, like financial support to low-income families and who needs, because you do hybrid, right? You need
Right.
people to have a computer, internet, and everything. Is there anything like that that you're currently working on to help the family?
Oh, absolutely. We've passed several legislations, including supplemental budget, to provide district schools with the technology that is required for students and teachers to learn remotely. And that is enough funding for schools to purchase Chromebooks for their schools, as well as for low-income families who live in areas where there isn't broadband or Wi-Fi for them. Now, regardless of what option the school decides, at the end of the day, the decision is up to the parent, right? The parent and the student. If you don't feel comfortable and if you don't feel safe to send your child to a school, by all means, don't do it. Because I have always held the stance that no two school is the same. One school may be exceptional in terms of cleaning and keeping the environment safe and sanitized. Another school may not. So at the end of the day, I would recommend to the teacher, to the parent and the student, if they don't feel comfortable to go into a classroom, then by all means, you don't have to.
Now, getting back to November election, you know, there talk about mail-in ballot. What's your thought on that? And would you willing to go that path because of unprecedented time that we are in right now? And would you vote for the mail-in vote?
Well, first of all, mail-in has already been voted and passed by the legislature. Now, there's a misconception that people think that the state sends you a ballot. We do not send you a ballot. We send you an application for you to apply and send back for a ballot. Now, that process we already have in place, and that's called absentee ballot voting. So right now, anybody can call up a clerk and say, I would like an application for an absentee, and the clerk would send that to you. So what the state did with the mail-in ballot is that they automatically send the application to everybody. Now, I have a problem with that, though. The problem is that the highest percentage of voting in Massachusetts has never exceeded 75%. So one of the things that I was pushing for was, okay, if you want to send application for absentee ballot to everybody, then let's just focus on the people who have voted in the past. So that way it would save the state some money, save the state 25% of the cost. So that's $5 million we pass to cover the sending applications to people.
So let's go back to your own campaign, your re-election campaign. You know that the most important part of the campaign is financial support, right? And you just earlier mentioned that it is hardly hard for you to do any fundraising right now because people was afraid of meeting other people because they don't know each other and could cause a lot of angst, anxiety and stuff like that, so they can't go out. To the Vietnamese community particularly, what can we do to help, and how much do you need right now for the running for the re-election campaign in November?
Running an election or a campaign for the state senate is very expensive, and it costs well over $120,000 to get elected. And this position is very, very important. I think you mentioned at the beginning that I was the first and right now the only Vietnamese American in the state senate. And on top of that, I'm the only Asian-born, well, first and only Asian-born American in the state senate. And to lose this position is going to be devastating for the Asian American community. I'm working very hard to be re-elected. It does cost a lot of money. We have not been able to hold any fundraising events this year, but people can donate through online. And by doing that, it would help me greatly. People can donate through my website, which is www.deantran.com, and when they go on there should be a contribute button where they can select that and provide the information and make a donation. It is very expensive to run a campaign, and it takes money to win an election, because right now candidates can't really do a lot of door knocking because of the virus, and they solely depend on mailing. And of course, you know, mailing right now is very expensive.
Thank you very much, Senator. Kính vị, như Senator Dean Trần vừa chia sẻ là trong cái cuộc tranh cử lần này nó gây rất là nhiều khó khăn cho ông về vấn đề tài chính. Cái thứ nhất là ông không thể nào ra ngoài để gõ cửa từng cử tri. Cái thứ nhì là ông không thể nào tổ chức những buổi gây quỹ để giúp cho ông, tại vì vấn đề coronavirus đang xảy ra. Nếu mà quý vị muốn giúp đỡ ông Thượng nghị sĩ Dean Trần, ông là người gốc Việt đầu tiên tại tiểu bang Massachusetts và hiện nay ông là người gốc Việt trong chức vụ thượng nghị sĩ tại Hoa Kỳ, thì quý vị có thể vào trang www.deantran.com, hoặc là quý vị có thể liên lạc thẳng với ông thượng nghị sĩ Dean Trần trên website đó và gửi check để ủng hộ về nhà cho thượng nghị sĩ Dean Trần. Trường Giang rất mong được sự ủng hộ của quý vị và ủng hộ cho thượng nghị sĩ Dean Trần trong cuộc tái tranh cử lần này năm 2020. Một lần nữa, Trường Giang xin kính chào quý vị và hẹn lại quý vị trong chương trình kỳ tới. Appreciate that you coming on with me today.
Thank you very much, Brian, and cảm ơn anh em chú bác.
Thêm SBTN Go mọi lúc mọi nơi, hình ảnh HD, âm thanh rõ ràng, chỉ có $9.99 trong một tháng sau 7 ngày dùng thử. Quý vị có thể tải SBTN Go trên Google Play, Apple Store, Roku hoặc Amazon.